Okay, you asked me to speak about the Rosh Yeshiva Rabbi Lieb Tzaddik Levracha. I'm certainly not worthy. I can't even consider myself a Talmud. I wasn't zeicher to be in the yeshiva, but I could just say things that I personally was zeicher to be beneficiary of his greatness, of things that I did see, and actually personally helped me out myself. And he was the one pushing me to start a shul, and very encouraging, and pushed me. It had tremendous siyata d'shmaya. But certain things that I did, I was zeicher to go to shmuzen, and I did glean tremendous yisoidus that I was zeicher to see and to hear from, which again, Talmidim can give you much more vast yisoidus in many areas of life. He was kind of Talmidim. He was a person that was a goyin and Torah, Shemayim, and anyway, but some of the things that I was able to pick up from, I mean, he was Aldiga Talmud, Mekusher with Rabbi Rucham and Mir, and with Reb Chatzkel, Tzaddik Levracha. But I remember him saying certain things. I remember that from the, he said he was with Reb Chatzkel. One thing I remember saying over, he said in one special Shudas that there was a person who was born in Eretz Yisrael who knew Kol HaTorah Kula. There's a famous Siddur, the Kavaisa, the Stipler brings it down to Chai Olam Oso. That was in Eretz Yisrael. They actually pointed out this person, his relative. Anyway, but the Tzidua, the person that knew Kol HaTorah Kula, but the Rosh Yeshiva Rabbi Lieb said he sent a letter to Reb Chatzkel, and he said that I don't believe that such a person exists. If he does, send him to America. We'll put him on the CBS. Show the world. So Reb Chatzkel sent him back a letter, and at that time, if I remember correctly, I think he said he was living in Yerushalayim still at the time. And I think he also said that this person lived not far away from him, and Reb Chatzkel said his daughter went to see him and his son-in-law. And again, if I remember correctly, I think he said the two versions, if what I think are both correct, if I remember correctly, was that my daughter went to see him, said Reb Chatzkel. I believe her. She said she saw him. I have to go see him. I don't believe her until I see him. She's an ish ne'eman. She's a person who's ne'emanis. My son-in-law said she saw him. So I have to believe them. Well, the other version was, Chazal said that a child learns to the mother, Kol HaTorah Kula. Chazal said it. I have to go see it to make sure it's emes. Even though it's interesting, Reb Chatzkel would make emes, mamashi is bechush, he would make emes, but apparently he went to machazik in this nekuda. If Chazal said this, I don't have to see it. If Chazal said it. Whatever the case, was that the starkheit he was bringing out from, maybe Chatzkel said he has a yetzer to go see him, but I'm not going to give in. It means he wants to mechazik the emunah that he has in Chazal, in this person, in his daughter, someone who's nish ne'eman to him, which fits in very well with an incident I was personally witness to, that after a shmuz on the Shabbos, was after Ma'ariv, so he had mentioned, there's a famous story of Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, apparently had sent a question to Yitzchak Chonan to Paskin if he'd be allowed to be saved on Shabbos. He had a whole shaila if he took things from the tzibur, if there be such a question of pikuach nefesh, if he allowed to save such a person, whatever the shaila was. Anyway, Rosh Yeshiva himself, Rabbi Lieb, said, I'd never believed the story, but then Yaakov Kamenetsky said over the story. So after the shmuz, after Ma'ariv, well, people already left, and there was a chashuva Talmud Chacham Yingeman who went over to Rosh Yeshiva, and he said, I don't believe the story, I still don't believe it. So I was privileged to see that Rosh Yeshiva became livid. He said Kamenetsky, they used to call the last names, apparently in Europe they did that. Kamenetsky das gesagt. He said it. He's the Yeshemis. If you don't believe him, then take the whole Torah, throw it out. What do we believe? How do we have emunah? We have a Messiah. We have a Messiah. We believe the Messiah HaTorah. We believe them. They're manim. That's what we believe. That's the whole idea of Messiah. If you don't believe him, so what do we believe? If he can say such a story, then it's emes. You have to believe it. It was such a profound message. If these people, what we live on Messiah. We live on grdolim Yisrael. and we come aduk to them. We learn the dveikus from them and take whatever they say is the Messiah. That's how Klal Yisrael lives. That power of them. When the Safo fella, he said another interesting story to remember again, that when he was in Shanghai, so then apparently he was sick, and pretty dangerously sick, whatever it was. So Chatzkel came over, he's sick, you have to eat. So he invited him to his house to eat lunch. I think lunch was the main meal. Should be healthy. So he says, "If it'll cost us, how much does it cost?" So he said, "What do you mean, how much does it cost?" "You come eat, you have to eat." "What do you mean cost?" "No, I have to know how much it costs. I'm not going to come." So anyway, okay, it wasn't the gaya. A day or two later, Chatzkel comes back and says, "Come eat." He says, "How much does it cost?" I said, $2, wherever the money was. Privacy. He says, "Okay, so pay the $2." So Chatzkel said, "I'm going to explain to you, Al Shakla V'Tarya, what we're debating over here. When I invited you to come eat by me, I'm doing you a chesed, I'm doing you a toiva, I'm doing you a favor. So now, nafshich ayvoy, now you become obligated to me. If you don't pay me, so you're meshuvit, really. You're my Eved Olam, you're my slave forever. Because every time you can see me, you're indebted to me, you gave me the food, you helped me out. If you go to deep, the subconscious of a person, in a way, now I've acquired you as my slave, in a way. Meshuvit to me. You don't want to be my slave. You want to pay for it. If you pay for it, okay, you have to, of course, you say thank you, but if you pay for something, you don't feel that debt anymore. So I was thinking, what's the benefit for you? You should be my slave, or you should eat. You need to eat. So the benefit for you is that you shouldn't have to be my slave. So then you see in the Musar Hadavar how you can analyze and see taka what many times is our subconscious, what pushes, what drives us. If I can remember correctly, it's another story that I think Reb Chaim Shmulevitz came over to him and says to him, "What would happen if you were to get $100? In those days, $100 was equivalent to, I assume, thousands of dollars today. People used to make $2 a week for a parnasa. So if someone give you $100, what would you do?" He says, "What I would do, $100? I give $90 to stock it." We all like to have that wishful thinking. So Chaim pushed him. No, come on. Let's get real. If you get $100, what will you do with it? Okay, $80 to stock it. Really? $70 to stock it. No. Think, really. Get 100. Get 60. 60? Yeah, sure. Okay, 50. 40. No, yeah, 40, sure. $40. You're going to give the 40. 30. $30 I'm going to give to the stock. $30? Yep. $30. That's it. You're going to give? Yeah, I'm 30 of this 100 I'm going to give. 30 I'm going to give. For sure. So Chaim pulled out a telegram. Apparently he got $100. And the Rashiva said, and guess what? I had to give the $30. The kaiches of a person also, the person has what we would like to think and what we like to have. It comes to real. It's not razach. The person is really. He brought out tremendous the kaiches adam, even like his own personal stories, so to say. But when he would speak in the shmuz, firstly he was a gewaldig entertainer. So he was able to give over with the sidus, with the tremendous, with the simcha, tremendous simcha sachayim, the guidance, the godless in the Torah, and even for brachas and things, people come. He was a tremendous adam gadol, but a tzanua. He's like these things in public. It was just about learning. Torah Hashem, Torah. There was the pashtus. And he's kind of talmidim, kind of people that he took them. They can make them forever. To take the people and make them over was. I remember when I was teaching 7th grade, so we actually made a siyum for the class. And so there's Detroit, it's just the boys and their families, and we had 3 great speakers. It was Rashiva, it was Rabbi Grubner, and Rabbi Gruskin. three great. Detroit came and they spoke. That was the pashtus, the simplicity of Detroit, because it's always about the yachid, the person, what he can give over, he can build, he can make something from an individual. I think that's a tremendous key over here, to build a person himself. And that's the simplicity of it was tremendous. That the accessibility that people can have, and the limudim that people can glean from these people, what they were able to accomplish. And he was a man who was, you couldn't tell, but he lost a daughter and a son-in-law. That the Chaim, the Chiyus that he generated, and you come to Asar Ruge Malchus was Kinnis Tisha B'Av, Kippur, the crying, the Bechiyus was in the Klal Yisrael, the grdolim Torah. This is what it was really about. And there was had a mitzvah with the Chofetz Chaim himself also when he was a kid, because he was only 9 apparently, and he was learning in a different shtetl. I think it was Lida, if I'm not mistaken. Again, if there's those who know the story better, but I remember he was, if I remember correctly, also that the Chofetz Chaim was coming to that shtetl, and his father was a Rav in a different city, but they didn't have a cheder, so he sent him as a 9-year-old boy. He was learning in the cheder, and somehow the Chofetz Chaim came off the train, and the people came to Mekabel upon him, Chofetz Chaim. He chapped it. The Chofetz Chaim didn't have where to sit, so he put suitcases together. The Chofetz Chaim sat, and then he saw him, and he called him over, and he asked him where he's coming from, and he told him, and he's away from home. He was very despoiled, and he gave him a gewaltige warme bracha. But I think he said also that he went with the Chofetz Chaim. He took him in the wagon, wherever it was. They went in town, and he was with him, Chofetz Chaim, and he went around the room. Apparently, the people came and they met with the Chofetz Chaim. And the Chofetz Chaim started talking to these people. First name basis, Reb Shimon, I'm going to see your father soon. I'm going to be traveling there soon, and I want to give over some regards. How's Shmir Shabbos doing? He hit the nail on the head with each person. He burst out crying. He went to the next person. How's in Kedusha, the bias? That person got the reality of the mitzias of going from here to the next world. Chofetz Chaim is just part of and he was witness to this amazing way how the Chofetz Chaim took it in such a personal way, and he gave it over. It was something also that you could have just from that ideas from when he was a young boy. But apparently the brachas of I don't know what it was, but I think they say what the bracha was. But he got tremendous brachas with Chofetz Chaim, and he was one of the Rayos B'Chabura. Notice when after Yerucham was nifter, if people that were talmidim by Yerucham, so Reb Chatzkel was a whole different mahalach. Reb Chatzkel was a totally different mahalach, and it was very hard to go transition from being the Yerucham's mahalach to Reb Chatzkel. But Rabbi Lieb was the one who was the one to say, each malchus pageis. The malchus chaverta. Everyone has its own malchus. Each one has its own. You have to make kabbalah from each one, and I think that's why also he had the special kirva, the closest that he had with Reb Chatzkel.
How did he get to Detroit?
I think it was after the war that they came to America, and again, I think he was offered a job here. I don't know the history clearly, but I think he was. I think he had a job. I think that time it was Beis Yehuda. I think it was. He became a rebbe there. That's if I remember correctly. But I think it was when he was at Beis Yehuda. I think there was the Beis Medrash section of it, so it was like a different part of the building. I heard once a brilliant, ingenious chap. There was a 1948 that just had made the Medina, the state, and the Israeli bonds had come out, and then it was Yom Kippur in the shul, which was not the yeshiva part, but it was the same building apparently, and it broke out a fight, a literal fight, Yom Kippur about the bonds, something about the Mishaberachs, they should give Israeli bonds. I don't remember the details again of that fight, but it really ended up being a very a vicious fight, and someone said, let's go ask Rabbi Lieb. And apparently they went down to the other side where the yeshiva Beis Medrash was, and they came with us running in. What's Shaila? So this guy does, how do you diffuse this machlok? He says, oh, it's a good Shaila. Ribbis, it's Yisrael, it's Ribbis. Oh, it's Taka Shaila, Ribbis, it's my Klal Yisrael. Bring a Shulchan Aruch. Okay, we have to do after Yom Kippur handled, so the Shaila, he just diffused the whole thing. Made a Ribbis Shaila, if it wasn't. But he had a tremendous mahalach of making shalom. he made as if each side is with him, but he just calmed things down. The tremendous koyach. It just,